BTG. But, ooh, I am loving this already, Tetcher. Volskaya Foundry for the first game of this best of 2.
Pretty cool to see. Going straight to the Volskaya Foundry. Braxis is also available, but so is Battlefield, which is going to be very much a preference for SPT. Or it might not be, who knows? Maybe they've changed it, the current meta. As we are heading in to our first game of our 4th series of the day, eventually. There we go. And it's going to be SPT with the first ban. See you, Genji.
See you, Genji, indeed. Both teams, of course, have legendary Genji players. Melody C on the side of SPT, and, well, the one and only Meng on the side of TheOne. So I definitely cannot blame anyone in this series who is basically going to ban the Genji.
Quite agreed, but we haven't, however, seen too many Malfurion bans so far, at least today, mostly leaning towards Urel and stuff like that. Are we going to see Urel come straight up here for Soap, potentially?
The strange thing here for TheOne is the fact that, in my personal opinion, ZCH, the support player for SPT, hasn't really had the greatest of days on Malfurion, right? He's more that Decker Kane, that Rhaegar player. So, yeah. I'm not sure if it's just a comfort zone ban for them because they don't want to play against Malfurion right now, or I don't know, maybe CCH win rate on Malfurion is better than I think it is.
As we see SPT running the clock all the way down before their first pick. Going to start with the Phoenix. Lucky has been very keen on this Phoenix so far this season, so that does not surprise me too much.
Yeah, very true. Whenever he played that Phoenix, I think he looked the scariest to face. Of course, he has a pretty good hero pool, though, to fall back on. He plays the Jaina if needed. He plays a really deadly Hanzo as well. So many of options left for him to pick.
And which ones will they go for? A Deckard, as you already mentioned. Psychic Kendrick.
Yeah, I mean, Deckard is just so strong right now. And by banning the Malfurion and picking Deckard immediately, what is left really in terms of top-tier supports, right? It could be a Rhaegar, or it could be an Alex Rasen. As we mentioned in the previous series, the Emerald Cube, the anti-healing against Alex Rasa is so powerful. And Rhaegar, I mean, SPT plays a lot of Rhaegar with that infamous Bloodlust comp. And I don't see a reason why they shouldn't try it again here against TheOne.
You bring up an excellent point. The fact is, they've already got part of it. Phoenix has been part of it basically every time.
Maiev is all now, or Maiev, as you said.
Pick Rhaegar maybe early, because it could be a pretty decent ban, honestly, if you start to work out if it's coming. It hasn't lost yet, that particular composition. SPT lose, but their comp doesn't. So but the tools that we've seen, Dahak has been in it, I believe, once. Maiev, Thrall, Diablo or Muradin.
Yeah, both are perfectly fine in my opinion. Then we had a Maiev once. Yeah. And that's about it.
Maiev and Thrall, I think, are the two potential essentials.
Yeah, one of the two is definitely needed. I think they actually played both last time. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this could be a fake right now because keep in mind, Thrall and Muradin are still good anyways, right? So they're playing a dirty mind game right now with TheOne. On the one hand, the Bloodlust comp is mighty scary. As Tetra said, SPT hasn't lost a single game with it yet. On the other hand, if TheOne, for example, bans the Rhaegar now because they're so scared of it, they could easily shift away and just pick a normal comp with a mage in there, maybe a Malthael, something along those lines.
I'm really curious if the mind games are enough, though. I mean, like you said, if they ban out Rhaegar, it's really not the worst, but is it that scary that you just kind of have to? Have SPT got it to the point where their comp is so scary and their execution is so scary that they can force a ban on a low-priority hero?
So far, if you think about it, some people might be, okay, this composition only works against weaker teams, right? Because better teams like TheOne, for example, they easily have the means and the knowledge to counter the Bloodlust by picking a lot of disengage, for example, yada, yada, yada. However, SPT beat CE with it, and that is by no means a weak team. And they also beat KT with it. And
BTG.
And BTG. So those are all high-quality teams in the league. So to say that TheOne is automatically immune to falling victim to the set Bloodlust comp, I think is an exaggeration. And The One really need to be in their tippy toes, and banning the Alexstrasza, I don't know. Like, as we said, the Deckard already counters her in a pretty good way.
Yeah, you get to siege in all that damage onto the Alexstrasza. You can disengage at least a little, sleep through the the Dragon Queen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the Alexstrasza ban. I guess it's still just a really good hero in general, so it's not the worst thing. SPT ban Maiev, removing one of their usual tools for this.
Yeah,
however, it would have been very scary from the enemy team.
Once again, Maiev really had been one of those tools that they had used before, but I think a Thrall alone with Earthquake could be enough, and there's other heroes that can also be used instead of the Maiev. For example, a Leoric comes to mind, a Blaze comes to mind, AoE stuns, entombs, and so on and so forth. I don't think Maiev is the only enabler that you can pick, and also the thought process here behind after the Maiev ban was probably, if they wanted to shut us down, the One that is, they're probably going to pick Maiev now. And then we're going to have to face against her rather than using her for ourselves, right? And the cage, as good as it is an engaging tool, it can also be used to keep enemies at bay.
When SPT ran this Bloodlust comp the first time, they did not use Maiev. That was the one where they ran Dahaka. It was Dahaka, Thrall, Rhaegar, Muradin, and Phoenix, aka this comp, plus a Dahaka and a Rhaegar.
Oh, so much time here being... not wasted, but being taken by the One, only to fall back onto the Hanzo and the Malthael. Up to this point, Tetcher, with the exception of the Stay a While and Listen, there is not a whole lot of disengage.
An excellent point. Diablo can sort of sacrifice himself for disengage.
Yeah.
But A-Bot can be run over, Lightning Breath can be run through. Malthael got nothing.
And even in point blank range, which is probably going to be the case in those team fights, it's only a mini stun at the Dragons era, really.
Yeah, so they have a room for a range the One do, so they can pick a false style or something like that if they feel comfortable. But now, SPT, what do they have to show us? Is it going to be that Rhaegar Bloodlust comp?
If you think about it, I think from a practice point of view, this might be a good opportunity for SPT to pick it again, because they will test the waters of this competition, on this composition, right? Against probably the best, and they could go for it, probably against the best opponent they have in the league right now. So they could test the waters, find out how good it is, and then fall back on standard game in game 2. And this Li Ming is throwing me off here a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, how well does it work with like charge strikes and cannoneer? Not very is the answer. I mean, it's still possible. The Bloodlust doesn't have to affect everyone. That is the thing. It's to gain value. The movement speed boost for Li Ming could still be good, but the fact is, if they go in with a bloodlusted composition like this, they've got salvo set up, they've got lots of slows in general, which is going to drop everyone pretty low. Thrall damage and Phoenix damage will drop people very low. That's potentially reset city for Li Ming.
Absolutely true. All it takes is one member, one hero on the enemy team that can run away. In that case, I would say it's Malthael.
All of them.
Almost all of them, exactly. Deckard, Kane, Malthael, Hanzo maybe, even if there was no wall nearby. Which, quite honestly, on Volskaya, there aren't really that many walls for her to fall back on. And that could be, as you said, reset city for Li Ming. And the Sergeant Hammer coming in as the final pick. Now, that is a knockback and nothing else.
Yeah, big one. Big knockback. Has slow, sort of. It's an interesting choice. I like the idea of, well, if you're going to come to us, we can't leave because of the composition you've made. So I guess we'll just stay put and just see what happens. So they picked literally the most immobile hero, the opposite of what every other team who's faced this strategy has tried to do.
Whether it's going to be the Bloodlust after all, guys, or not, as we said, SPT can still go for the mind games and just play a normal Ancestor healing game and just play it a little more slowly. Li Ming is actually not all too terrible against Sergeant Hammer if she finds an angle to land all of her abilities from without anyone interfering and body blocking it, right? So they could very well go for a slightly more conservative approach, but we know SPT and we know how aggressive they like to be sometimes. So yeah, I think this is easily my most anticipated match of the day, Tetcher. What about you?
I think it is going to be certainly exciting. Even if it's not, like you said, even if it's not a Bloodlust game, but I'm very convinced it is personally, it's still going to be good because Sergeant Hammer is always fun to see. That zoning potential could be huge as we are loading into the Volskaya Foundry. And ladies and gentlemen, this man does not want to be around that bench much longer, as there is a fight going to happen with the one on the left with Hugo on Malthael, Muggle on the Hanzo, Meng on Sergeant Hammer, Hehe on Diablo, and ZJZ on Deckard K.
And facing them in what could easily be the top series of the day, it is none other than SPT, also known as the Super Perfect Team. With Lucky on the Phoenix, Melody C's playing that Li Ming again, Misaka on the Murden, Soap on that Thrall, and CZH, potentially our Bloodluster, potentially on the Rhaegar. Let's see which playstyle they're going to go for. It's going to be very interesting for us to follow. And already, Rhaegar is going for an interesting talent level 1. He's going for the Earthbind Totem, which means greater radius on that slowing pulse and more health on the totem as well. So they're basically already kind of telling you, hey, we want to keep you guys slowed and we want to keep you guys locked in place.
Which is interesting. A nice little idea there. They already have a lot of slows. I mean, it's an extra slow for Phoenix. When you're with Phoenix, this talent makes a lot of sense. So no issue there. And then at level 4, he can take the extra mana regen on the lightning shield because it's going to go very well with the Muradin.
All right, Sergeant Hammer sieging up in the top lane, trying to inflict a little bit of pressure, trying to deal a little bit of pressure onto SPT here, while we have Muggle on that Hanzo fighting it out against Soap on the Thrall. Misaka showing himself very briefly here, just trying to get Meng nervous, but hey, he's got his back there, nailing Diablo against the wall, absorbing all those mines there as well. And it looks like SPT is happy with just letting it, you know, go through for now. CJC on that Deckard Cain will have enough of potions and enough mana to keep this sustained all early game long. They already took the turret there in the bottom right, so is the one in the bottom left. Rhaegar tried to go for a gank here against Muggle, but he is safe.
He is safe indeed, which is good for him. Allows him to stay on the map and help with the wave clear for the moment. Well, this needs to be careful. Meng moving quite far forward. Gets a heal, eats magic missiles, but is being hydrated. Look at all that damage from Li Ming. ZJZ, he's going to need those shield potions pretty quickly if he's going to want to keep up with this.
Muradin coming in with a jump.
Pressure. There's the shield, even dropping siege tactics to be sure, which literally he just got. So they're able to retreat here. Siege tactics for Hammer. There's those shielding potions for Sergeant Hammer. Going to make him so hard to take down.
Yeah, absolutely true. Sergeant Hammer now in pretty good shape when it comes to resisting those stun effects, those CC effects in general. Keep in mind, though, you only have one siege tactics usually per fight, so use it once. And if they catch you again in a quick moment later, you're probably done for. So let's see how they can play this out. Diablo going for a standard build, full flame build at level 4, probably in the other talent tiers as well. So far, not really much has happened, but I mean, we can't really blame the one for playing it slow, right? They've got the Sergeant Hammer. They're going to play this slowly, methodically. For the first Protector platform, this is where things are probably going to start to get a little more heated. See Lucky on the Phoenix here. Already nice Rude 6cc chain against He uses the Muradin as an escape tool. Last second save for this.
It's going to be healed up, assuming Hammer doesn't body block him from the potions. They begin slowly moving forward. Meng looking for his correct positioning. What is going to be the optimum angle? Sides here is fine as Hugo arrives as well to help zone away Melody C. And continues to shuffle forward. He's got ambush, so unsieging here is completely fine.
Unsieging is fine indeed. Both teams still waiting before using their turrets. Lucky still has it. He's currently spending time regenerating his shields. And as long as SPT holds this platform, they still have and maintain control over it. There goes Sergeant Hammer. 50 armor are now out. Diablo dropping low, trying to get the Muradin close to the towers. He does so, but also takes a huge amount of damage himself. The turrets still can be used for SPT. I'm pretty sure they're going to do it right now to maintain control over this capture zone.
Even after all this time, this has still been fully in control of SPT, even while Hammer was literally sieged up on the point. They were contesting it and keeping it in their own scenario. It's 99-0 Are they going to try and get on the point again?
Turret.
Yes, they do. Reset the timer. They move forward. Hugo taking a lot of damage here from Lucky.
Yeah, so much damage by Lucky, who had been completely ignored up to this point. All the focus fire by TheOne had been used on Thrall, Rhaegar, on the Schmorks. Here comes Muradin, though, with a wild jump from around the corner. Lucky continues to dish out the damage, but finally, the sustain by Decker Kane proves to be a little too superior for SPT to handle it, and with one scatter shot, they blow Muradin to pieces.
That was nicely done. SPT fighting tooth and nail for that. Yeah. But instead they get shut down by the sheer AoE damage of Hammer. And now that Hammer has siege mode, she was able to position and wasn't in such a rough idea. She wasn't in such a rough position. I'm going to use the same word twice. Who cares? When it came to actually dropping the damage without getting hit by Li Ming.
Oh, you would have triggered my elementary German school teacher. Can't use the same word twice in a row in the same sentence. It's not good. Did you also have those teachers?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's a big problem in English. It's not good English, but
it's not
I'm
proper.
not good at English.
It's not proper.
It's not proper language, not proper diction. As you see them move in, Hugo coming in from the side is going to try and take out the turret quickly. Potion's already down. They go in for Rhaegar, actually. Going to try and kill him off, but he finds a little gap. He is dropped very low. But he's on fire, and Misaka picked up Hugo. Nice little teleport kill there, and it's actually going to be the one who takes the first Punisher.
The tankiness of He and the sustain by ZJZ is just insanity. It's completely crazy of how much damage Diablo was able to soak and how many abilities he was able to bait in. And the moment Muradin tried to do the same thing, right? Boom, there was the healing reduction coming in from either the Malthael actually and the Touch of Death or the Emerald Cube. So much healing reduction available, which is going to be so handy and so useful later on. In the meantime, Soap needs to be careful. One more machine gun salvo by the Protector and he would have been a goner.
Misaka coming very deep onto Meng, but Meng just slowly hovers away and unsieges. Now moves forward again. He is pretty comfortable. This Hammer is once again working very effectively with the protection it's being given.
Yeah, the thing is, can SPT bounce back after level 10, right? Right now, in the early game against Sergeant Hammer and the Decker Kane, they don't really seem to have a lot of tools to really pressure them, but after level 10, we could either see Earthquake or Sundering. Both tools would be very good against said Sergeant Hammer Decker Kane, because if you can catch the backline off guard, you're going to be able to probably destroy them as well. We could see the Bloodlust, which would basically empower heroes like Thrall and Phoenix by a large margin. So don't count them out just yet, just because they're struggling early against the Hammer.
I'm still positive this is a Bloodlust.
Me too.
Am I correct? Salvo. Misaka could pick Haymaker, but I doubt it because Earthquake too good. Sorry, Avatar too good. And I'm on Rhaegar. I mean, Thrall, you have a bit of variance. They both have variance. They could pick either one. They begin moving forward, though.
I think they're going to make a split-second decision here, depending on how good the angle
is. Bloodlust right now, which they do. And now it's a question of Earthquake or Sundering, which can be very much quick-picked as the situation requires.
We've seen both. We've seen both, I believe. The Sundering was used by Soap as well on that Thrall, although I'm not sure if it was used in unison with a Bloodlust comp, so it still remains to be seen. I mean, both heroic abilities have their merits, their ups and downs, right? Whereas the Earthquake has great synergy with beautiful patience there, by the way, by Misaka, waiting all the way until Malthael thought he was safe. Bloodlust as a defensive escaping tool.
Nicely done. Sniped by the Hammer. Everyone else is able to leave, but that makes it a 1-for-1.
Makes it a 1-for-1, that's correct, but they also managed to bait the usage of the Healing Pulse, right? Because Malthael was the one carrying it. He basically realized he was not going to get away, so he used it in order to prevent giving it over to the enemy team. But you are right, that BFG from all the way managed to get a nice kill. Sundering, here we go. Beautiful route.
You're seeing a lot of damage onto ZZH. He goes down, support out of the picture with no Bloodlust available anywhere at the start of that fight. Misaka is wading through, trying to get to Meng. They stun out the Diablo and they take him down. He had 100 souls, so he will respawn shortly.
By Thrall.
Looking for Hugo. Can they get him? Nice. Very nice kill there. Muggle's also super low. Is Lucky going to go deep? Lucky's trying to chase him, using that plasma cutter as
he have a
sort of a
teleport?
scout here.
Oh,
Teleport!
he has it! Oh.
He gets outplayed though. There's the stun, and Muggle gets out. Lucky barely alive. Lucky no longer alive.
Muggle with a return kill. Holy moly!
That's how you get schooled. That's how you get schooled. Oh my god, the one double global ability kill. Just outplayed. Just pure outclass.
Holy macaroni, with those double global DPS heroic abilities, the one just schooled SPT. I mean, that was just a masterclass right there. SPT got a little greedy, and honestly, I can't even blame them. If I were Lucky there, or if I were the Phoenix, I probably would have done the same thing. It just looked so safe to do, but then they saw the double globals, and I think this is going to be a really useful learning experience for them.
Yeah, turns out that even if you want to use your Bloodlust defensively, you can't run away from a global. You have to dodge, and for that, you need the vision. In this case, they had no vision, get double sniped.
All right, 13 is here for SPT, though, so at least they're going to take this fight on even terms. Now, what do we have here? We do have the Earth Shield by Rhaegar, which is definitely going to make heroes like Muradin or Thrall much more resilient. We also have the Spirit Shield for Thrall, so he's going to be a little more resilient against those these spell damage abilities as well, like the BFG, for example, if it's used in time. All right, can they make it happen here? 33% to 50% almost. Both teams now very patient. All heroic abilities are available, ladies and gentlemen.
They're beginning to creep forward, are the ones. Clearing out the minions using that Sergeant Hammer. AoE auto attacks versus AoE auto attacks. Phoenix using that phase bomb for a little bit of clear as well. Rolf realizes that Diablo is now close enough to drop stuns into walls against him, so he backs up. And looks like they're going to try and run down, give a little bit of percentage over, and try and grab the healing cap.
Hugo, of course, has the vision there, thanks to his E. He's not going to be there to make it in time, and that is a huge win for SPT, actually. This healing pulse could very well allow them to actually dominate this platform, right? If it's used in time, if everyone gets affected by it, they counter so much of the Malthael damage, so much of the Sergeant Hammer AoE damage as well.
Misaka holding the line. They're going to try and go for the engage onto Hammer. Siege Tactics was not activated in time. It is online, however, to block the Sundering instead. BFG, nice dodge by Melody C, but Thrall already did hit Bloodlust Li Ming for the value. Not going to go too far forward. Doesn't want to get killed off as Misaka dropped low. Good tackle. Avatar is popped, though, keeping Misaka alive. Rhaegar with the heals trying to save Misaka. It's not enough, and Rhaegar goes down.
Yeah, he should go down.
And survives. Never mind, he's dead. And gets kicked off as well.
Tetra, we just saw SPT pick up the healing pulse, and yet they don't use it. I mean, sure, they were CC'd quite nicely there by Decker Kane, and the Stay a While and Listen. But if you're going for an all-in attack, I think what Misaka should have done is he jumps in, uses the healing pulse at the same time, so his follow-up engagers, right? Let's take another look at this. So it was actually not used. He's still carrying right now. Soap was completely left alone, gets popped immediately, and now they're using it when nobody is even in a position to benefit from the healing anymore. So maybe if they just played a little more cleanly there in that team fight, they managed to actually get more done. But as it is, TheOne showing once again why they are currently looking like China's #1.
Right now, they are looking to get a 1 on the scoreboard. Killing off ZZH. 30 seconds till he's up. The Protector still over half health. Keep goes down. Protector moves on to the core. Diablo looks for the Li Ming. Simple sock up from the Rocket Robot. And they move on to the core. Salvo for a last-ditch bit of damage. But the core is beginning to go down. The sleep is just going to put the defense on pause. Apparently, Overpower does not wake people up like that. Here comes the BFG, the Lightning Breath. And that is a solid victory by TheOne.
Absolutely dominated. The first team in the league that was able to overcome the infamous SPT Bloodlust composition, and they did so in style, if I may want to use that word, because not only did we see solid Sergeant Hammer plays, but